My name is Carolyn Tillie. I am an artist who has created a culinary installation entitled Mixed Emotions, Reflections on Death, Dialogue, and Dinner. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was gifted some old cookbooks and utensils from a friend whose grandmother had passed away from COVID. Wanting to honor her grandmother and other family members that we were losing, I cut apart that cookbook and started to put the words on those utensils in a Duchampian act of actually naming the piece. Part of the Mixed Emotions exhibit is an entire dining room with 4 place settings and dinner service. There are over 100 pieces exhibited in this dining room table, including cutlery, china, silver, and each piece is covered with words, starting with word salad. Inside the word salad are pages that have been cut from the 1925 White House cookbook. The same words have been cut and placed on faux lettuce leaves and the vintage salad servers themselves. What started off as a few pieces of cutlery turned into an entire dinner, those meals that we would never share together. And the words that were pasted upon each one of the plates, upon each utensil, in each glass, were parts of dialogue and conversations that we would never have. The entire dining room table is comprised of 4 different place settings. Each one has a plate with the words serve that have been cut and glued to the plate. All of the food is faux food with the exception of the oyster, which are actual oyster shells. As well as being an artist, I'm co-founder of Bay Area Culinary Historians. And as such, I collect vintage cutlery. So many of the pieces here were not only donated by those who lost family members, but are from my personal collection dating back to the Victorian era. Each place setting has a dinner plate, bread plate, soup bowl, and oyster plate, as well as cup and saucer, wine cup, and water cup. The entire setting grew as more family members and loved ones passed away, and hit home especially in 2022 when I lost my 20-year-old stepson and a beloved sister within a few months of each other. The entire dinner and the kitchen is an homage to those that we've lost and those meals that we'll never be able to share again. The chafing dish is covered with the instructions of cooking various ingredients. All of the pieces here still actually work and could be used. Our meat lovers offering of steak and potato with full vegetables. What ended up being the masterpiece for me of the entire exhibit was this coffee and tea service made from an 1885-1890 Meriden silver plate tea service. This piece actually has some movement with the pouring of the tea and the coffee, as well as the spilling of the cream onto the silver platter. The kitchen table is covered with utensils that were used to make the meal on the dinner table and represent that 50s era kitchen. One of the most difficult pieces made in the entire installation was this colander, and it's a simple white enamel colander. Following the Duchampian philosophy that I was working with, the inside is surrounded with the word strain, which is the beginning action, and the bottom has scattered words drained, which is what would happen to something that you put in to run water through. But the outside, in a rather chaotic fashion with no pattern, are very difficult words, including the word melancholy, which does not exist in a cookbook, and so I combined the word melon and collie. This piece became entitled Emotionally Draining, as grief was really overwhelming me, thinking about the meals that we were no longer going to share and the conversations we were no longer going to have. The color scheme of the exhibit are oranges and golds, and the tablecloth, the carpet, and the image in the windows behind the kitchen table all hearken to that autumn of life, just that precipice before the loss of life. Behind me are some recipe boards that I painted. The recipes all come from the 1925 White House cookbook, and I incorporated the main ingredient of a recipe and added a utensil that was germane to that recipe. Example, a green turtle soup with the full recipe and a soup spoon, or instructions on a lemon juice with a lemon fork. But all of the utensils are vintage and came from my personal collection. A week after I graduated with an MFA in jewelry and metalsmithing, I enrolled in cooking school and worked in the food and wine industry for several years before I went back to my artistic roots with the creation of food-themed jewelry. Since then, I've been involved with several culinary historical groups, co-founding the Bay Area Culinary Historians. We recreate meals, we research local historical restaurants, and I've written 2 different books, one on the history of oysters, as well as a history of food as an art form. Thinking to combine Judy Chicago with MFK Fisher, I've created this installation and look forward to expanding my food-themed creations. I've been very fortunate to stage this installation at ACCI Gallery in Berkeley, and I'm looking forward to expanding the installation with perhaps a larger dinner table, more place settings, more food, or a bigger kitchen, complete with stove or refrigerator, all covered with words. And I'm hoping to find other venues that might be willing to stage this installation, either in part, the kitchen only, or dinner table only, or as a full working kitchen and dinner setting together.